Welcome to Current Conversations, a podcast imagined by Be Alive and Rivers Are Life, where we discuss freshwater systems, the important role that rivers and watersheds play in our world, and how educating conservationists leads to a healthier planet. Thanks for joining us for this week's episode and for being part of a ripple of action that is creating change. I'm Ariel Roth, Community Manager at Be Alive and Rivers Are Life and co-host of our show.
And I'm Julie Urjeski, Impact Manager with Be Alive and Rivers Are Life. Today we're chatting with Haley Lowry, Global Sustainability Director at Dow. As Dow's spokesperson on circularity and ESG, Haley's work is centered on the intersection of business and impact. She was nominated as one of World Economic Forum's 2021 Young Global Leaders, is a graduate of Oxford's Imagine Ecosystem Leadership Program, and frequently speaks about plastic waste and ecosystem solutions in major publications.
Haley is passionate about using business as a force for good to solve social and environmental challenges, which is why her work with Dow is so significant. Dow's role as a founding partner of Rivers Are Life is rooted in a passion for research and development, leading the science of tomorrow to protect river ecosystems.
Right. It will take all of us together to collaborate on a bright future for rivers, which is why we're so excited to hear about Haley and her work. So Haley, your journey from commercial roles in marketing and product management to your current position as the Global Sustainability Director at Dow, it's pretty remarkable. Could you share with us how your background in business has influenced your approach to sustainability and circularity within Dow?
Yeah, so my journey has been a bit unique. I've been at Dow for 19 years, and it's been such a fun ride. I think part of what makes me more effective in my role is just having a deeper understanding of how we make money as a business, how our customers operate, what they care about. And so I think a lot of the foundational roles that I've done early on in my career helped prepare me for where I am today. And I remember about 6 years in, I got my MBA while I was working, and really just have always been very passionate about business. And I remember there was a TED Talk from a woman at Unilever that was titled, "You don't have to quit your job, you can use it for good." And at that point in my career, I really was trying to figure out what really drove me. And it was impact. And the more impact that I could actually bring to something, the more I was passionate about it and the more I really wanted to dive in. And that's what I just began to realize is the impact that I could actually make at Dow was tremendous. So Dow is such a large company, and one of the things that we bring to the table has really been scale. And so if I wanted to drive impact in the world, impact in the environment, impact on people's lives, that was going to be done at a scale level. So that's a little bit about my background. And so I had taken this course that was all about using business to solve social and environmental problems. And the concept of a triple bottom line impact became alive to me. And so it wasn't just about business only providing profit, because I think businesses that only provide profit and don't take the environmental and the social aspects into account probably aren't going to be around for a long time. And the same companies or organizations that just focus on the social and environmental, that's really more the nonprofit route. And that's just a totally different spin. Whereas if you have businesses that encompass all three, I think that's really the next wave of growth of what companies look for, as well as really just good business.
Yeah, I totally agree. I might be a little biased because I am Be Alive and Rivers Are Life's impact manager. So I love what you said about that. Could not agree more.
No, I totally agree. And going off of impact, which both of you have mentioned in this, you have been a pretty key part in shaping Dow's plastic waste and ecosystem solutions. Can you elaborate a little bit on those innovations or solutions you guys are working to address those challenges?
Back in a few years ago, we launched a new sustainability target called Transform the Waste. And we're working on commercializing 3 million tons of circular and renewable products out into the marketplace. And this is a big driver because it's really something that our customers are asking for. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation actually launches a report that they have that they really just track different brands and converters around the world on where they are in these targets and what's important to them. And I would just say that that's something that they have been constantly tracking on. And I think over 400 brands have made commitments to use more recyclable and renewable contents in their applications. So it's a growing market and a growing demand.
Yeah, 400 is huge. Big impact.
Yeah. So I think those are just some of the things that we're doing at Dow is really trying to meet our customers' needs and what they're asking for. And so we have several innovations that we have launched. Revolup is our mechanical recycling product, and so we work with over 10 different mechanical recycling companies across the world to be able to get recycled content product in and sell that back into the marketplace. And then on the renewable side, we had a new advancement with a company called New Energy Blue in North America, where they actually take food waste or waste corn stover is what they call it from the fields, and they can convert that back into an ethylene that we take into our polyethylene products and sell into the marketplace. So it's really a plastic that's made from renewable content, which is something else that the marketplace is asking for. So those are just some of the things that I'm really proud about from all of our team's efforts.
You should be really proud of those.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. You've definitely, I mean, the innovation that it takes to create those kind of products and those partnerships is huge, without a doubt. But you and your accomplishments have been recognized by the World Economic Forum. You've been named as a young global leader. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
That's amazing. How does that recognition inspire you and motivate you within your work at Dow, but also in your life outside of Dow too?
Look, I think we all just want to leave a legacy and make an impact. And I don't really look at that as like accomplishments of Haley. I really look at that accomplishments that we're driving across the entire team, because it wouldn't be possible without the entire team. I've had conversations with many other sustainability leaders at companies, and some of the things that they have talked about is that sustainability is not just one person's job or one function's job. We're only actually really successful when everyone in the company starts to think about it as part of their role. And so, think about it. If you're in sales and you're trying to figure out what does your customer want for the future, and they want a low carbon or they want a circular product, how do you best provide that for them? If you're in marketing, how do you create those new products that the customers want? If you're in legal, how do you work on contracts for partnerships? Because many of these problems that we're trying to solve are system-wide problems. It's not only a problem that we're going to solve just within one company. And if you're in R&D, how do you create new products that encompass waste and others? So I really try to think about that as like, how do you just engage the entire organization? Because you're going to move a lot faster if the entire company is thinking about this as part of their roles.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it totally is. And we talk about that pretty often on the podcast altogether. How does all of it work together, and how do individuals make an impact in it? And if we step away from your professional aspect of sustainability, you have been involved in projects like the Montgomery Produce Economic Center and also supporting waste pickers during COVID-19. Well, how do you really find your passion for those sustainable projects, community projects, and how does it align with you as an individual?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it before of like being driven by impact. I remember our whole team, like during COVID, we were sitting on a Zoom call and we were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to everyone in literally the whole world. And we just were thinking about those that were most vulnerable, who didn't have a voice for themselves or didn't have enough means to be able to drive some changes. And it was really our team who came up with a fundraising campaign through Global Giving. They're an online program where you can select different projects to actually finance. And we were able to raise $80,000 for waste pickers, which are critical to the circular economy. And so the informal sector is really like widely present across the global south. That's one of the ways that the circular economy is possible, through the informal sector actually picking up materials that have value associated to them. And at that time, they didn't have a lot of PPE. And we thought, oh my gosh, we've got to make sure that this population is equipped with the safety standards that we as companies would want to have too. So that was more of just like a team effort. We want to do something, like, how do we ignite this? And it was a really cool way to ignite our whole team to be able to raise money and support a vulnerable population who needed that.
Absolutely. We're learning more and more with every film that we do about the impact of waste pickers. And again, you talk about that circularity. It's inspiring to hear about these individuals that go out and do that every day and how it becomes a part of their life. And, wish all of us could do something like that. It's incredible.
And we did some programs in Latin America where we started learning more working with a nonprofit and several other brand owners to try to work on that economic equation to say, like, how can we make sure that they're getting paid a fair and living wage? And how do we make sure that the material comes back at higher qualities? And how do we make sure that we can get that material flowing through and then the marketplace is willing to pay for that product? So those are some really great initiatives that many nonprofits are leading to ensure that the informal sector is part of the conversation. And especially in the global plastic pollution treaty negotiations that are happening with the UN right now, they are definitely a key voice that's there and that needs to be listened to and needs to be heard because they're critical to making circularity work.
Totally agree. Yeah. So, we've talked before, you're based out of Austin. You're in Austin right now. You live there with your dog, Brody. It sounds like getting outdoors is a big part of your life, or at least I would assume so. Austin's like a big outdoorsy city. Could you tell us about how your connection to nature inspires your work personally? How do those two connect for you?
I think the mountains are my happy place. And so anytime I can get to the mountains, they're not many mountains in Texas, but the closest thing that I could find were kind of hills in the area. But I just love the mountains. I feel like that's where I connect spiritually with God on a personal level. That's where I just get a chance to like decompress my thoughts. And I don't know, my thoughts become more clear in the mountains. Also, it's just nature. I love it. So skiing and hiking and anything that I can do. I've actually tried to carve out a vacation time every year to make sure that I go do that because it grounds me and it level sets me. And sometimes when I get to panicky situations, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm panicky. Why am I panicky? I haven't been to the mountains yet. I need to go. So really trying to prioritize that in my life is important.
I am the same exact way. I'm an avid hiker. I have solo hiked and camped over 50 places in the state of Michigan.
That's amazing.
Since 2020. And I try and make sure at least like once a quarter, I plan out a solo hike. We don't have mountains here except for at the very tip top of Michigan. And I've been there once, but I am rivers and water, ironically, it's this is my rule that I've now gotten into. But the water has always been a very grounding place for me. And I try and plan hikes for the same reason. And I can tell when I haven't gone out enough. So if you're ever in Michigan and you want to go for a hike, let me know. Take you all the good spots. Well, you have a hiking person now. Given your experience, just professionally, as someone who practices sustainability in your own life, what advice would you give to an individual or a company who is looking to embark on a sustainability journey or even just enhance the efforts that they're currently doing?
I would just say, recognize where you're starting from. So we often talk about meet countries or meet companies where they are, and don't try to skip 5 steps and achieve perfection day one. Take small steps, recognize where you are, do groundwork assessment of here's what our programs look like, or here's what the infrastructure and the environment looks like. And here are some things that we can do to make some tangible progress. And then really grasp onto those wins. I think once people see some success, then it catalyzes more action. And so take those successes, catalyze more action, and just inspire others to do the same. And I think that's a lot of the work that, we've done through the Rivers of Life program really is catalyzing that action, highlighting the heroes, and trying to inspire others to do similar things.
I really like what you said about meeting businesses where they are, because I feel like just so many sustainability can seem like such a big, complicated technical change that has to shift everything. And I think you are demonstrated that it's not necessarily that. It can be so encompassing, it's very manageable. But thinking about businesses on a bigger scale, what are your aspirations? What do you envision coming about in the next couple of years, not just for Dow, but also for the industry, businesses at large?
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about circularity on this call, but another key driver is carbon and really reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And then on the forefront is water. So running facilities in water-stressed sites or even living in homes where flooding could be possible. So there's a lot of impact when it comes to water. But I think like if I'm really to step back and think about what are some of the big trends that I foresee coming, it's this intersection of AI and sustainability and thinking through like how can AI help us either accelerate some things, connect dots in ways that it hasn't been connected. I just see a lot of potential between the intersection of those two.
AI is the most wild thing to exist. Like it's like
Period.
It's an unbelievable tool, but it's constantly mind-blowing the things that it can figure out and do, and it's crazy. Before we close this out, I would first like to say thank you for joining us, sharing parts of your story. Do you have anything else that you would like to share before we get ready to close out?
No, I've really appreciated the conversation that we've had, and yeah, I guess just, the Rivers Are Life program, I've really loved seeing a lot of the heroes that we've talked about. So, whether that's River Heroes or LSU that we've worked with and with many others, I think there's so many people out there doing great things. And oftentimes it's just not highlighted as much as it could. And so by you guys providing a program to be able to do that, it allows for just more people to be inspired and catalyze action.
I would be really curious because I feel like we've talked about this on multiple calls with individuals that have watched a variety of our films, and we have shared on certain episodes the key moments that stick with each of us. What is a key moment in one of the films, or like that one that just sticks out to you or that you really enjoyed?
For me, Afro Shaw, every single time that I am with him or see him, I am just like, whoa, what a human being. Like this guy is like a modern day Gandhi and has literally changed my life. I was able to meet with him and his team and do a beach cleanup on his beach in India last year. And it just was like to see the droves of people come out and they had music playing and everyone was having a great time, and like how the beach looked before and after, it blew your mind. So, and he has done that literally every single weekend for I think like 8 years straight or something like that. I'm just blown away. So what an incredible human being.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you, Haley. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.